Ladies and gentlemen, today I want to talk to you about something that goes far beyond money. It's about freedom. It's about the ability to live life on your own terms without limitations, without fear, without having to trade all your time for just enough to get by. We're here to talk about financial freedom. Now, let's be clear. Money itself is not the ultimate goal. Money is simply a tool. What you're really after is the feeling money gives you security, peace of mind, the power to take care of your family, to contribute to causes you believe in, and the ability to live with passion and purpose. Tony Robbins often says, it's not about resources, it's about resourcefulness. Financial freedom doesn't start with a bank account. It starts with a mindset. You can have nothing in your pocket, but if you have drive, focus, and a plan, you already have the seeds of financial freedom. Think about it. There are people who win the lottery and end up broke in a few years. Why? Because their psychology hasn't shifted. They still operate from fear, scarcity, and lack. On the other hand, there are people who start with nothing, but they condition themselves to think differently. They learn, they grow, they take consistent action, and they create wealth that lasts. So what does it take to reach financial freedom? Let me give you 3 pillars. 1, decide. Nothing changes until you make a decision. Decide that you are no longer willing to settle for living paycheck to paycheck. Decide that you will master your financial life. That decision alone is the first step to transformation. 2, create a plan. Wealth doesn't happen by accident. You need a roadmap, whether that means increasing your income, investing, reducing debt, or building multiple streams of revenue. Tony Robbins teaches the power of modeling. Find people who are financially free and model their strategies. Success leaves clues. 3, condition your mind daily. This is the most important. If you don't master your mind, your fears will master you. Every day, feed your mind with empowering beliefs. Remind yourself that financial freedom is not just possible, it's inevitable when you stay committed. Remember this, financial freedom is not just about having more, it's about becoming more. When you grow, your income grows. When you expand, your opportunities expand. Financial freedom always begins with one powerful step, making a decision, not a wish. Not a half-hearted hope, not a maybe someday thought, but a real decision backed by commitment. A true decision is the moment when you draw a line in the sand and say, enough is enough. I will no longer live in financial stress, and I will not settle for less than the life I know I deserve. That's the moment when your life begins to shift, because decisions shape destiny. Most people think they've made decisions, but in reality, they've only expressed preferences. They say, I'd like to be debt-free, or I want to save more, or it would be nice to invest, but wishes change nothing. Preferences fade when times get tough. A decision, on the other hand, is a command to yourself. It eliminates all other options. When you decide, you cut off retreat. You no longer leave the back door open to excuses or comfort zones. You step forward with conviction. Tony Robbins teaches that the word decision comes from the Latin decider, which means to cut off. When you decide, you cut off every other possibility. Think about people who've transformed their finances. It didn't start with a detailed spreadsheet or a perfect plan. It started with a single defining moment when they said, I will change this. I will never go back. That intensity of decision is what fuels lasting transformation. Why is decision so powerful? Because it shifts your identity. You stop identifying as someone who struggles with money or tries to get by. Instead, you see yourself as the kind of person who is financially disciplined, abundant, and free. Once you identify with a new standard, your behaviors start to align with it. You spend differently, you save differently, you work differently, and you approach opportunities differently. But here's the truth. Making a decision isn't always comfortable. It demands courage. It demands that you look your current reality straight in the face and say, this is not the end of my story. It demands that you take ownership instead of blaming circumstances, your job, the economy, or your upbringing. The moment you decide, you take back your power. Think about a time in your life when you made a real decision. Maybe it was to end a toxic relationship, to change your health, or to pursue a new career. At first, it probably felt impossible. But once you committed, didn't life start moving differently? Doors opened, opportunities showed up, and your actions gained energy. Financial freedom works the same way. Life responds to commitment. The beautiful thing is that you don't need to have all the answers before you decide. People often wait until everything is perfect to take action, until they have more money, more knowledge, more time. But that's a trap. If you wait for certainty, you'll wait forever. The decision must come first. The clarity and strategy follow. When you decide, you activate your mind's resourcefulness. You begin asking better questions. How can I increase my income? How can I cut expenses without reducing my joy? What skill could I learn that adds value to the marketplace? That's when solutions start appearing. Decide today, not tomorrow, because tomorrow becomes next week, next month, next year, and each delay compounds the stress. Imagine how your life will feel 5 years from now if you keep putting it off. Now imagine how your life will feel 5 years from now if you decide today. The choice between those two futures lies in a single moment, the decision you make now. When you commit to financial freedom, you ignite momentum, and momentum is everything. The first steps may feel small: opening a savings account, setting aside a percentage of income, learning about investing, but they are symbolic. They tell your brain, I am serious, this is who I am now. And over time, those steps compound into results beyond what you thought possible. So ask yourself, are you interested in financial freedom, or are you committed? Interest says, I'll do it when it's convenient. Commitment says, I'll do it no matter what. The day you decide and commit fully is the day your financial future changes forever. Financial freedom is not just a numbers game. It's not just about how much you earn, save, or invest. The foundation of wealth is built in the mind. If you want to change your financial life, you must first shift your mindset from scarcity to abundance. Most people think that wealth begins with money, but in reality, it begins with psychology. How you think about money determines how you use it, how you attract it, and ultimately how much of it you keep. Scarcity is the mindset of limitation. It's the voice that says, there's never enough, I can't afford this, I'll never get ahead, people like me don't become wealthy. This mentality is a prison, and millions of people live inside it every single day. They budget in fear, they spend in guilt, and they save with doubt. Even when opportunities come, they hesitate, because their mind whispers, what if I lose? What if I fail? What if it's not enough? Scarcity blinds them to possibility. Abundance, on the other hand, is a completely different operating system. It's not about being reckless or ignoring reality. It's about believing that there is always more than enough opportunity, more than enough resources, and more than enough creativity to build the life you want. Abundance says, if I don't know how yet, I can learn. If I don't have enough now, I can create more. If one door closes, another will open. This mindset doesn't ignore challenges. It looks at challenges as stepping stones, not dead ends. The truth is, your financial life is a reflection of the story you tell yourself. If your story is rooted in scarcity, you will sabotage your progress no matter how much money you make. That's why you see people earn 6 figures, yet still live paycheck to paycheck, constantly stressed and broke inside. It's not about the income, it's about the mindset. Change the story and you change your results. So how do you shift from scarcity to abundance? The first step is awareness. Notice your language. The words you use reveal your beliefs. Do you often say, I can't afford it, or money doesn't grow on trees? These phrases reinforce scarcity. Instead, reframe them. Instead of I can't afford it, ask, how can I afford it? That small shift moves you from limitation to possibility. It engages your brain to find solutions rather than shut down. The second step is gratitude. Scarcity focuses on what's missing. Abundance focuses on what's present. Every day, take time to acknowledge the resources, skills, and opportunities you already have. Gratitude multiplies. When you focus on what you already possess, you expand your capacity to receive more. It's not magic, it's psychology. A grateful mind is an open mind, and an open mind sees opportunities that a fearful mind ignores. The third step is to surround yourself with abundance thinkers. If you spend time around people who constantly complain about money, who live in fear, who believe success is only for the lucky ones, their mindset will rub off on you. But if you surround yourself with people who think big, who focus on growth, who see possibilities instead of problems, You will start to condition your mind for abundance. Energy is contagious, and your environment shapes your psychology more than you realize. Finally, abundance requires faith in yourself. You must believe that you can create, grow, and manage wealth. Without that belief, no strategy will stick. Scarcity waits for proof before acting. Abundance acts in faith, knowing that action itself creates proof. The moment you start to believe in your own ability to produce and multiply, you unlock resourcefulness. And resourcefulness is far more valuable than resources. When you live in scarcity, even wealth feels like poverty because fear never leaves you. But when you live in abundance, even setbacks become lessons, and progress feels inevitable. That is the true secret of financial freedom. Not just accumulating money, but cultivating a mindset where you always feel free, secure, and capable, no matter what's in your bank account. So choose abundance. Choose to see opportunities where others see obstacles. Choose to focus on possibilities rather than problems. Because financial freedom is not just about what you have, it's about how you think. And when you think abundantly, money becomes not a source of stress, but a tool for expansion, contribution, and joy. One of the fastest and most powerful ways to achieve financial freedom is to model success. Too many people waste years trying to figure everything out on their own, stumbling through trial and error, only to end up frustrated and stuck. But the truth is, success leaves clues. Whatever financial freedom looks like for you, someone has already achieved it, and they've left behind patterns, strategies, and principles that you can follow. Modeling is about identifying those patterns and applying them in your own life until they become your own. Think about how you learned to walk, talk, or even ride a bike. You modeled others. You didn't sit down with a textbook and calculate the exact mechanics of balance. You watched someone do it, you tried, you failed, and you tried again until it clicked. The same principle applies to money and wealth. If you want to master financial freedom, you don't need to reinvent the wheel. You need to find people who have already created lasting wealth. Study what they did and replicate their behaviors. The problem is that most people are unconsciously modeling the wrong examples. They model their parents, who might have lived in financial stress. They model friends who spend everything they earn. They model society, which glorifies consumerism and debt. Without realizing it, they're copying patterns that lead to scarcity instead of abundance. That's why you must consciously choose who you model. Don't just take financial advice from anyone. Take it from people who are actually living with the kind of freedom you want. Modeling works on two levels: strategies and psychology. Strategies are the practical steps: how people budget, how they invest, how they create multiple streams of income, how they minimize taxes, how they leverage opportunities. But strategies alone aren't enough. What really drives results is psychology, the beliefs, habits, and emotional standards that successful people operate from. If you adopt their mindset, you'll naturally align with their behaviors, and those behaviors will produce similar results. For example, wealthy people don't see saving as deprivation. They see it as empowerment. They don't panic when the market dips. They see it as a chance to buy at a discount. They don't see learning as optional. They see it as the foundation of growth. By modeling these thought patterns, you rewire your own financial behaviors without forcing yourself. It becomes natural, just like learning to walk became natural once you modeled the people around you. The beauty of modeling is that it shortcuts time. What might take you decades to discover on your own, you can learn in weeks or months by studying someone who's already done it. That's why mentorship, coaching, and books are so powerful. When you read a book by someone who's financially free, you're absorbing decades of their experience in just a few hours. That's compressing time, and that's the advantage of modeling. But here's the catch: modeling only works if you take action. It's not enough to admire someone's success or consume their content passively. You have to implement what you learn, test it, and make it your own. Don't just copy blindly. Understand why they do what they do, then adapt it to your unique situation. The goal isn't to become a clone. The goal is to internalize the principles so you can build your own version of financial freedom. And remember this: everyone you look up to was once a beginner. They weren't born wealthy or wise. At some point, they made the same choice you're making now: to learn, to grow, to model those who were ahead of them. By doing the same, you're plugging into a proven system of growth. So the question is, who are you modeling right now? Are you unconsciously following patterns of scarcity, or are you intentionally modeling abundance? Choose carefully, because who you model will shape your financial destiny. Model success and you won't just learn how to make money, you'll learn how to keep it, grow it, and enjoy it. And in that process, you'll realize that financial freedom isn't a mystery reserved for the lucky. It's a science, a set of patterns you can master if you're willing to learn from those who've already walked the path. Financial freedom doesn't happen by accident. It's not a lottery ticket, and it's not a lucky break. It's the result of deliberate design, and that design begins with a roadmap. Imagine trying to drive across the country without a GPS, without a map, without even a clear sense of direction. You might get somewhere, but it won't be where you wanted to go, and the journey will be frustrating. That's how most people treat their financial lives. They drift, they earn, they spend, they hope things will work out, but without a plan, they remain stuck in circles. A roadmap changes everything. A financial roadmap is simply a clear, intentional plan for how you will move from where you are to where you want to be. It begins with clarity. You must know your starting point. That means taking an honest look at your income, expenses, debt, savings, and investments. Many people avoid this step because it forces them to confront uncomfortable truths. But awareness is power. You can't change what you refuse to face. Once you know your starting point, you can chart a course forward. The next step is defining your destination. What does financial freedom mean to you? For some, it's being debt-free. For others, it's having enough passive income to cover living expenses without working. For others still, it's the ability to retire early, travel, or contribute generously to causes they care about. Your roadmap must reflect your personal definition of freedom, not someone else's. Without a clear destination, even the best strategies won't give you fulfillment. Once you know where you are and where you want to go, you can design the path. That path will almost always involve a few key principles. Increase your income, control your spending, eliminate debt, build savings, and invest wisely. These aren't glamorous steps, but they are universal. Every financially free person has walked them in one form or another. The roadmap is about sequencing and consistency, deciding what to prioritize, when to shift focus, and how to stay on course. A powerful part of the roadmap is creating milestones. Just like on a road trip, you need checkpoints to track progress and stay motivated. Maybe your first milestone is paying off a credit card, then it's building a 6-month emergency fund, then it's investing your first $10,000. Every milestone achieved builds momentum and reinforces your identity as someone who is financially free. These wins are not just financial, they are psychological. They condition you to believe, I can do this, I am doing this. Of course, no roadmap is perfect. Life throws detours, unexpected expenses, job changes, economic shifts. That's why flexibility is crucial. A roadmap is not about rigidity, it's about direction. If you hit a roadblock, you don't abandon the trip, you adjust the route. Too many people quit at the first setback because they think it means the plan failed. In reality, setbacks are part of the journey. Your ability to adapt while keeping your destination in sight is what guarantees success. Another key element is accountability. A roadmap without action is just a wish list. You need to hold yourself accountable, and sometimes that means bringing in outside support. Maybe it's a financial advisor, maybe it's a mentor, or maybe it's a peer group committed to growth. When others know your plan and encourage you, you're far more likely to follow through. And remember, a roadmap is not just about money, it's about values. Your plan should reflect the life you want to live. If you design a roadmap that builds wealth but leaves you burned out and joyless, you've missed the point. Align your financial strategy with your deepest values: freedom, contribution, growth, security, or adventure. That way, every step on the journey feels meaningful. At its core, creating a financial roadmap is about taking control. It's about shifting from reacting to life's financial demands to proactively designing your financial destiny. With a roadmap, you replace confusion with clarity, fear with confidence, and drifting with direction. And when you follow that roadmap with consistency, financial freedom stops being a dream. It becomes inevitable. Knowledge is power only if you act on it. You can study financial strategies, read books, attend seminars, and watch endless videos. But if you don't take consistent, massive action, nothing will change. Financial freedom doesn't come from ideas alone. It comes from execution, and not just occasional effort, but sustained, committed action that compounds over time. The truth is, most people know what they should do financially. They know they should spend less than they earn. They know they should save and invest. They know debt can weigh them down. The gap between knowing and doing is where most dreams die. That's why action is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. Without it, your roadmap remains a piece of paper, your goals remain words, and your freedom remains a fantasy. Massive action doesn't mean you have to do everything at once. It means you start where you are with what you have, and you refuse to stop. Maybe your first step is creating a budget. Maybe it's setting up automatic savings. Maybe it's reading one book on investing, or scheduling a call with a financial advisor. What matters most is that you move. Action creates momentum, and momentum creates confidence. Once you take the first step, the second feels easier, and the third feels natural. Consistency is just as critical as intensity. Too many people start strong but fizzle out because they treat their finances like a New Year's resolution, exciting for a few weeks, forgotten by February. Consistency is the discipline of showing up day after day, even when it feels boring, even when results aren't immediate. It's in those small repetitive actions, saving a fixed percentage of income, reviewing expenses monthly, investing automatically, that wealth silently grows. Like compound interest, consistent effort multiplies in ways that shock you years later. The key is to shift your standards. Don't just try to take action, make it part of who you are. If your identity is "I'm someone who takes massive action," then you won't negotiate with yourself every time you face a decision. You won't debate whether to invest or spend. You'll invest because that's who you are. You won't argue with yourself about saving. You'll save because it's your standard. Identity drives consistency, and consistency drives results. Of course, fear often stands in the way of action. Fear of failure, fear of loss, fear of making the wrong choice. But the only true failure is doing nothing. Every action, even if imperfect, teaches you something. You either succeed or you learn, and each lesson makes you more capable. Massive action doesn't guarantee instant results, but it guarantees progress. Inaction guarantees nothing but regret. Another important element of massive action is speed. Don't wait for the perfect plan or the right time. Perfection is the enemy of progress. You'll learn more by taking imperfect action today than by overthinking for years. Think about it, how many opportunities have people missed because they hesitated too long? Financial freedom rewards the bold, those who step forward while others are still waiting. Sustained action also requires tracking. What gets measured gets managed. If you don't measure your progress, you won't know whether your actions are moving you forward. Tracking your savings rate, investment growth, debt reduction, or income streams keeps you accountable and motivated. Every number you track is proof that your action is working, and proof fuels persistence. Ultimately, massive, consistent action is about building momentum that becomes unstoppable. At first, progress feels slow, like pushing a heavy flywheel. But with enough effort, it starts turning faster, and soon the momentum carries you. The hardest part is starting. The easiest part is continuing once you've built that momentum. Financial freedom doesn't belong to the smartest, the luckiest, or the most educated. It belongs to those who act. Those who take bold steps, who stay consistent, who refuse to quit no matter how slow progress feels. If you want freedom, don't just dream it, plan it, or talk about it. Live it through relentless action. Because in the end, action is the currency of results, and consistent, massive action is the fastest path to lasting financial freedom. Financial freedom is not just about numbers on a spreadsheet, it's about the person you become in the process of creating those numbers. Money is a reflection of value, and the value you bring to the world is directly tied to your level of growth. If you want to expand your income, your opportunities, and your freedom, you must first expand yourself. The truth is simple, your wealth will rarely outgrow your personal development. Think about it, people who suddenly receive wealth without growing themselves to handle it often lose it. Lottery winners, athletes, entertainers, many end up broke not because they lacked money, but because they lacked the mindset, skills, and discipline to manage it. On the other hand, someone who has developed resilience, resourcefulness, and financial intelligence can lose everything and rebuild it all, often even faster the second time. Why? Because they grew themselves first, and that inner wealth is unshakable. Growth begins with your mindset. Do you believe your abilities are fixed, or do you believe you can learn, improve, and create more? A growth mindset opens the door to new opportunities. It pushes you to ask, what can I learn that increases my value? What skills can I build that solve bigger problems? What habits can I adopt that bring me closer to freedom? The person who asks these questions and acts on them will always find ways to grow their wealth, no matter the economy. Personal growth also means investing in your knowledge. Read books, attend seminars, listen to mentors, and learn from those who are already financially free. The world is full of wisdom, but most people starve their minds while feeding their fears. What you feed grows. If you feed your mind with strategies, inspiration, and empowering beliefs, you'll naturally make smarter financial choices. If you feed it with negativity, doubt, and excuses, you'll sabotage yourself at every step. But growth is not only intellectual, it's emotional. Financial freedom requires emotional mastery. Can you stay calm when the market dips? Can you resist the impulse to overspend when you're stressed? Can you stay disciplined when you're tempted by instant gratification? Emotional growth is the foundation of financial discipline. Without it, all the knowledge in the world won't save you. Another part of growth is expanding your network. Your income and opportunities are often a direct reflection of the people you surround yourself with. If you spend your time with people who complain, settle, and make excuses, you'll adopt their patterns. But if you surround yourself with people who think bigger, push themselves, and constantly grow, you'll be challenged and inspired to rise to their level. Growth loves company. Spiritual growth also plays a role. Financial freedom without fulfillment is empty. If you build wealth without growing your sense of purpose, contribution, and gratitude, you'll feel hollow no matter how much you accumulate. True abundance is not just having money, it's using money in alignment with your values to create joy, security, and impact. Growing spiritually ensures that your wealth enhances your life instead of controlling it. Here's the paradox. Many people chase money hoping it will change their lives, but money alone rarely changes anything. What changes your life is growth. When you grow yourself, you become more valuable, more capable, more confident, and more resilient. And when you become more, you naturally attract and create more. So make growth a daily habit. Read for 30 minutes. Practice a new skill. Surround yourself with mentors. Reflect on your progress. Stretch beyond your comfort zone. Each small act of growth builds a stronger foundation for wealth, and over time that foundation becomes unshakable. Financial freedom is not the end goal. It's the byproduct of becoming the kind of person who deserves it, creates it, and sustains it. When you grow yourself, wealth is no longer a question of if. It becomes a matter of when. And when that moment comes, you'll realize the real treasure was never just the money. It was the powerful, disciplined, abundant version of yourself you became along the way. So I challenge you, don't just make money your target. Make freedom your mission. Decide today that you will no longer be controlled by fear, by debt, or by limitations. Step into the version of yourself who is resourceful, unstoppable, and worthy of abundance. Because financial freedom isn't just for the lucky few. It's for anyone who dares to decide, to plan, and to take action with unstoppable belief. Your journey to financial freedom starts not tomorrow, not next year, but right now. Thank you.